monsieur, il y a là quelqu'un qui vient au sujet de l'annonce.
Bartleby. J'ai lu votre annonce, je suis d'accord sur les conditions.
Soyez le bienvenu. Donnez-moi votre manteau. Alors, messieurs, voyons, retournez à vos places. Mes adjoints. Alors, les fonctions d'un premier clerc, bon, vous connaissez. Hein? Vous savez aussi bien que moi ce dont il s'agit. Je n'ai donc rien à vous expliquer. Pour les horaires, ce sont les horaires normaux, 9h, midi et demi, reprise à 2h jusqu'à 7h. Enfin, nous ne travaillons pas le samedi après-midi. Voici vos bureaux. Et puis, voici le vôtre. Ben, si vous le voulez bien, vous pouvez commencer tout de suite. Vous voyez, nous avons tout ça en retard, c'est énorme. Alors d'abord, il y a les entrées à répertorier. Voilà, ici, pardon. Hein, tout ça. Ah oui, quelquefois, ils font beaucoup de bruit, mais vous verrez, on s'y habitue très vite et puis ce sera bientôt fini. Quand vous aurez fini, en priorité, il y a ça à recopier. Nous comparerons ensuite les dossiers, si vous voulez bien. Vous pouvez introduire le premier client. Allô, oui?
Oui, je n'ai pas encore eu le temps de m'occuper de votre dossier, mais enfin, si vous voulez bien...
Premier de ces messieurs.
Au début, Bartleby abattit une extraordinaire quantité de travail. Sans dételer, il écrivait page après page d'une manière morne, silencieuse, automatique. Il exécutait sans laisser paraître la moindre trace de fatigue cette besogne ennuyeuse, monotone. Mais ce qu'il y avait de plus frappant était son mutisme. Il faisait tout d'une façon indifférente, le long de jours interminables, sans prononcer un seul mot.
In answer to my advertisement, a motionless young man one morning stood upon my office threshold, the door being open, for it was summer. I can see that figure now. Pallidly neat, pitiably respectable, incurably forlorn. It was Bartleby. Hello, I'm Mark Belson. We all like to be set in our ways to a certain extent. We all like our assumptions about things to go unchallenged. Well, not so Bartleby the scrivener, the law copyist who preferred not to, and yes, so Bartleby the scrivener. This seeming contradiction has fueled fascination with this strange little tale of Herman Melville's for just over 145 years, ever since it first appeared in the November and December 1853 issues of Putnam's magazine. Melville himself had been going through somewhat of a critical slump at the time. Moby Dick had been published 2 years earlier, in 1851, and had met with less than immediate universal critical and popular acclaim. But with the publication of a collection of shorter work, the Piazza Tales, which included Bartleby, Benito Cereno, the Bell Tower, and others, Melville found himself once again in the critics' favor. The consensus of the time was perhaps he was at his best in the short form. Some commentators on Bartleby reflect that it might have been quite interesting to have been a fly on the wall, as it were, to see the reaction of the typical 1853 reader to this story, because it's like it had never quite been seen in America before, and we're told would not be seen on these shores again until the 1930s, when the work of another young writer would make its way here in translation, young Austrian Franz Kafka. Like many of Kafka's tales, Metamorphosis, The Hunger Artist, The Penal Colony, Bartleby represents a remarkable level of technical complexity. The story, if you're looking for a meaning, will yield one from virtually every conceivable critical approach: biographical, historical, political, philosophical, religious, sociological, socioeconomic, even psychiatric. One reading is that Bartleby poses, by his passive resistance, a real, if ultimately ineffective, threat to society and social order, and that his experience gives support to Thoreau's claim that one lone, intransigent man can, by his action or inaction, shake the very foundations of our institutions. Another characterization of Bartleby, by essayist Philip Roth, calls the story, quote, a truly inspired, intuitive study of schizophrenia. And there's even the extreme interpretation that Bartleby does not exist, but in the mind of the lawyer, and that Melville deliberately refrains from giving him much of any history in order to suggest that he emerges from the mind of the lawyer as his psychological double. Here, Bartleby is a metaphor, appearing to the lawyer chiefly to remind him of the inadequacies, the sterile routine of his world. The story remains Melville's most frequently anthologized and filmed work. Tonight, scenes from 5 film recreations: 2 20th-century Bartlebys, 1 British, 1 French, and 3 19th-century American Bartlebys, and Patrick Campbell, whose performance in the title role has been called Bartleby as a Force of Nature. We end with an extended sequence of scenes left untouched as originally broadcast from the American adaptation by Israel Horovitz, presented as a play for television, and the film by Maurice Ronet, produced for French television, both in the 1970s. A series of scenes that mirror and parallel each other and Melville's words and intent quite closely, although they recreate their Bartlebys in different countries, in different centuries, in different languages. Shown first straight through in English and then in French, the famous scene on the stairs, and then a concluding sequence with even greater fidelity to Melville, which in juxtaposition seems to need no additional translation, providing as it does both a universal gloss on and implicit understanding of this strange and moving tale, allowing it to stand on its own, transcending not only language barriers, but cultural borders. What, then, to make of the elusive Bartleby? A character who has nonetheless touched the hearts and minds of so many over the years. What to make of his inherent mystery? That's for each one of us to decide. For many, the deepest question the story provokes is what you do with Bartleby. The deepest answer the story seems to provide, on the surface at least, is that, alas, you can do nothing. But perhaps, just perhaps, Melville was hinting at an even more fundamental question in his famous forward exclamation at the end of the story. our Bartleby, our humanity. We each define the phrase lost soul in our own way. We each think we know what that means. We think we may see a lost soul on the street, perhaps a homeless person, or on the subway, maybe a deinstitutionalized one. They might be a friend or acquaintance. They might be somebody who society regards as someone who doesn't quite fit in, a misfit. They might be a member of our own family. Is Bartleby truly a lost soul here? Is the lawyer who reaches out to him one? Well, that too is for each one of us to decide. But perhaps the fundamental question Melville was asking was this: what do you do when you run up against something that you cannot explain and that you cannot ever hope to remedy? Where is your humanity then? As Michael Lonsdale in the French film Tonight says, he has no will to die. He's given up on going on with living. Ce n'est pas la même chose. It's not the same thing. If you can truly appreciate that it's not la même chose, the same thing, if you can truly appreciate that one is not the same as the other, maybe then in your heart of hearts, you can truly know where your own humanity lies. As has been written of Bartleby, the unique quality of this tale resides in its ability to say almost nothing on its placid and inscrutable surface, and yet so powerfully to suggest that a great deal is being said. This quality of style is a perfect embodiment of the theme itself. Concealed beneath the apparently meaningless, if not mad, behavior of Bartleby is a message of utmost significance to all men. It is one of those few stories in English or any other language which will continue to defy any definitive or generally satisfactory explication. And this may finally be its theme, of course, that the inscrutable does not yield one iota to the rational categories of existence. Called prophetic in its foreshadowing of 20th century absurdism. Called autobiographical in its despair over the public's failure to respond to this 19th century American writer's more stylistically prescient work. Call Bartleby what you will. He is on his own and will forever remain a strangely moving and yet tantalizingly inscrutable handful for all ages.
Beat 20.
Bartleby. Bartleby, come in here and bring in the Preble file with you, please.
I would rather not, just now.
When you're ready. Come in when you're ready, Bartleby. Miss Brown? Oh, yes. Take these to Tucker, will you? Oh, by the way, what's Bartleby up to?
I don't know, sir.
Bartleby, you just get going on these new accounts. I want to show you what I want done.
I don't think I'd like to just at the moment.
What do you mean? I don't understand. I've asked you once already.
I mean, I prefer not to go over the account.
Are you mad? What do you mean, prefer not to? I want to show you what to do. Tucker, would you come into my office, please?
Who the hell do you think you are? I've got my work to do, you've got yours. And I'm not doing yours for you.
Bartleby. Bartleby. I'm not going to ask you to do anything you'd prefer not to do. I simply want to speak with you. Will you tell me, Bartleby, where you were born?
I would prefer not to.
Have you any relatives living? Will you tell me anything about yourself?
I would prefer not to.
Bartleby, what possible reason can you have not to speak to me? I feel friendly toward you. Bartleby, what is your answer?
At present, I prefer to give no answer.
Bartleby, never mind then telling me about yourself, but let me urge you as a friend to try to adapt yourself to the procedures of this office. Tell me now that you'll help examine your copies tomorrow or the next day. And what I want is for you to say now that in the next day or two you'll begin to be a little reasonable. Say so, Bartleby.
At present, I prefer not to be a little reasonable.
Bartleby, Gingenet is away at court. Just step around to the post office, won't you, and see if there's anything for me?
I would prefer not to.
You will not?
I prefer not.
Very well, Bartleby. Very well. In all my years in the legal profession, I have never seen the likes of it. We will see what comes of this. We will see.
He comes early. He stays late. He has one of the finest hands I've ever
will say I'm at the post office. One Sunday morning, I happened to go to church to hear a celebrated preacher. And finding myself there early, I thought I would walk around to my chambers. Hello! Open up in there.
Oh, well, one moment, sir.
He lives here. God. I didn't know. Bartleby. I didn't know. What I saw that morning persuaded me that the scrivener was the victim of an innate and incurable disorder. I might have given alms to his body, but his body did not pain him. It was his soul I could not reach. Bartleby, come here. I am not going to ask you to do anything you would prefer not to do. I simply wish to speak to you. Will you tell me, Bartleby, where were you born? Will you tell me anything about yourself? But what objection can you have to speaking to me? What is your answer, Bartleby?
At present, I prefer to give no answer, Mr. Parsons.
All right.
What are you doing here, Bartleby?
Sitting upon the banister.
Bartleby, are you aware that you're the cause of great tribulation to me by persisting in occupying the entry after being dismissed from the office? Now, one of two things must take place. Either you must do something or something must be done to you. Now, what sort of business would you like to engage in? Would you like to re-engage in copying for someone?
No, I would prefer not to make any change.
Would you like a clerkship in a dry goods store?
There is too much confinement about that. No, I would not like a clerkship, but I am not particular.
Too much confinement. You keep yourself confined all the time.
I would prefer not to take a clerkship.
How would a bartender's business suit you? There is no trying of the eyesight in that.
I would not like it at all. Though, as I said before, I am not particular.
Well, then, would you like to travel through the country collecting bills for the merchants that would improve your health?
No. I would prefer to be doing something else.
How, then, would going as a companion to Europe to entertain some young gentleman with your conversation, how would that suit you?
Not at all. It does not strike me that there is anything definite about that. I like to be stationary, but I am not particular.
Stationary you shall be, then. If you do not go away from these premises before night, I shall feel bound, indeed I am bound, to quit these premises myself. Bartleby, will you go home with me now? Not to my office, but my dwelling. And remain there till we can conclude upon some convenient arrangement for you at our leisure. Come, let us start now, right away.
No. At present, I would prefer not to make any change at all.
Parler. Ne t'énervez pas et suivez-moi. Abandonnez avec
Qu'est-ce que vous faites là?
Je suis assis dans l'escalier.
Et pourquoi faites-vous ça?
Le gérant avait besoin des bureaux. Alors, comme je ne veux être un tracas pour personne, j'en suis sorti. Mais depuis, on ne cesse de m'ennuyer.
Et vous vous rendez compte dans quelle situation vous mettez en agissant de la sorte? Par ailleurs, moi, je ne veux pas vous voir entre les mains de la police. Alors comment dois-je faire pour vous faire entendre raison?
Je ne peux pas vous aider. Ne me demandez pas l'impossible. Je préférerais rester comme je suis. Je ne suis pas difficile.
Et vous devez partir d'ici. Trouver un travail. N'importe quel travail. Si l'atmosphère du bureau vous ennuie, ben, vous cherchez autre chose, je ne sais pas moi. Vous pourriez travailler dans une épicerie, par exemple.
On est trop enfermé là-dedans. Et puis ici, il y a des gens qui passent.
Ben, si vous aimez tellement les gens, vous pourriez tenir un bar. C'est pas tellement fatigant.
La fatigue n'a rien à voir avec ça.
C'est vrai, je vous demande pardon.
Et puis, je crois que je n'aimerais pas du tout cela.
Parfois, ça vous gêne pas de provoquer la colère des gens de l'immeuble?
Je ne pense pas qu'ils soient vraiment fâchés.
Voulez-vous aller en voyage? Vous reposer pendant quelque temps? Hein? Non, mais votre santé s'en trouverait peut-être améliorée.
Mais je ne suis pas malade, vous savez. Non, merci. Les voyages. J'ai l'impression qu'il n'y a rien de bien défini là-dedans. J'aime être sédentaire. Vous voyez, je ne suis pas difficile.
Eh bien, restez donc sédentaire. Oh, je sais ce dont vous souffrez. Mais bon Dieu, vous devez réagir.
Je n'ai pas envie d'avoir la volonté pour ça. Pour l'instant, je préférerais ne pas bouger.
Enfin, si vous ne quittez pas ces lieux, je serai obligé de vous abandonner. Alors quoi, c'est la police qui s'occupera de vous? Allez, venez. Je vous en prie, venez.
Non. préférerais ne pas bouger.
Quite a gentle fellow, your friend. He offered no obstruction at all. He rather silently acquiesced and was taken off to the halls of justice, arm in arm with policemen and a hell of a crowd of bystanders, neighbors and workers and all. Noon it was. Quite a to-do, but your friend Bartleby remained calm throughout.
Has he been at all difficult since his arrival here, then?
Difficult? No, not at all. He's harmless, isn't he? And quiet, too. He's allowed to wander a bit in the yard.
In the yard, is he? Oh, that's good. Pleasant for him. Bartleby.
I know you. And I want nothing to say to you.
It was not I that brought you here, Bartleby. And to you, this should not be so vile a place. Nothing reproachful attaches to you by being here. And see, it is not so sad a place as one might think. Look, there is the sky, and here is the grass.
I know where I am.
Is that your friend?
Yes.
Does he want to starve? If he does, let him live on the prison fare, that's all.
Who are you?
I'm the grubman, sir. Such gentlemen as have friends here. They hire me to provide him with something good to eat.
Is this so? Well then, I want you to pay particular attention to my friend here. Let him have the best dinner you can get, and you must be as polite to him as possible.
Introduce me, will you?
Bartleby, this is a friend. You will find him very useful to you, Bartleby.
Your servant, sir, your servant. I hope you find your stay here pleasant, sir. Now, what will you be wanting for dinner today?
I prefer not to dine today. It would disagree with me. I am unused to dinners.
Some few days after this, I again obtained admission to the tomb and went through the corridors in quest of Bartleby, but without finding him.
I saw him coming from his cell not long ago. Probably going out to loiter in the yards.
Are you looking for that silent man? Yonder he lies, sleeping in the yard. It is not 20 minutes since I saw him lie down.
His dinner's ready, sir. I won't he dine today either. Or does he live without dining?
Lives without dining.
He's asleep, ain't he?
With kings and counselors. There would seem little need for proceeding further in this history. Imagination will readily supply the meager recital of poor Bartleby's interment. Yet here I hardly know whether I should divulge one little item of rumor which came to my ear a few months after the scrivener's decease. Upon what basis it rested I could never ascertain, and hence how true it is I cannot now tell. But inasmuch as this vague report has not been without a certain strange, suggestive interest to me, however sad, it may prove the same with others, and so I will briefly mention it. The report was this, that Bartleby had been a subordinate clerk in the dead letter office at Washington, from which he had been suddenly removed by a change in the administration. When I think over this rumor, I cannot adequately express the emotions which seize me, Dead letters. Does it not sound like dead men? Conceive a man by nature and misfortune prone to a pallid hopelessness. Can any business seem more fitted to heighten it than that of continually handling these dead letters and assorting them for the flames? For by the cartload they are annually burned. Sometimes from out the folded paper the pale clerk takes a ring. The finger it was meant for perhaps moulders in the grave. A banknote sent in swiftest charity, he whom it would relieve nor eats nor hungers anymore. Pardon for those who died despairing, hope for those who died unhoping. Good tidings for those who died stifled by unrelieved calamities. On errands of life, these letters speed to death. Ah, Bartleby. Ah, humanity.
Bartleby.
Je vous connais. Je n'ai rien à vous dire.
Vous savez, j'ai tout fait pour vous éviter ceci. Or, cet endroit ne saurait être pour vous un lieu d'infamie.
Je pense que vous savez, monsieur, que nous ne nous verrons plus. Je sais où je suis.
Admettez que j'ai tout fait pour vous éviter ceci. Admettez que sans moi, il y a longtemps que vous seriez là. Admettez-le. Oh, ce n'est pas si triste ici. Voilà le ciel. Et puis, il y a de l'herbe.
C'est un ami à vous?
Oui.
Eh bien, s'il veut mourir de faim, il n'a qu'à se contenter de l'ordinaire.
Et qui êtes-vous?
Je suis chef de cuisine, c'est moi qui les fais manger. Mais on ne peut pas faire de miracle. Le budget que ces messieurs Malou est si petit que la nourriture laisse quelque peu.
Est-ce que je pourrais vous demander de faire particulièrement attention à lui?
Oui, comptez sur moi, monsieur.
Pensez-vous que je puisse lui faire parvenir un colis?
Mais bien sûr, monsieur, bien sûr. Il suffit que vous me demandiez aux cuisines en ajoutant que vous êtes un ami. Tenez, venez après-demain. Ces messieurs de la direction sont partis pour la journée. Votre ami est un faussaire, sans doute. Ah, messieurs les faussaires, quelle personne distinguée. Jamais un mot clos, toujours le sourire. J'ai remarqué qu'ils étaient presque tous tuberculeux. Des soucis, sans doute. suis occupé de lui comme je vous l'avais promis, monsieur l'huissier. Je ne suis pas un voleur. Si j'ai accepté votre argent, je connais mes engagements. Mais il finira par mourir de faim s'il continue. Tenez, hier, je l'ai invité à dîner. Eh bien, il m'a répondu qu'il préférait ne pas dîner. C'est un homme vraiment bizarre, ce monsieur. Il est là. On n'est pas là. Dis donc, t'as pas vu le détenu de la cellule 4? Celui qui rit jamais, là.
Ah oui, le silencieux. Il est sorti de sa cellule il y a 20 minutes. Il doit flâner dans la cour.
Je suis venu vous dire que quand vous sortirez d'ici, nous ferons absolument tout ce que vous voudrez. Ça m'est complètement égal. Il n'y a pas que l'indifférence, vous savez. Vous entendez? Il faut vivre, il n'y a pas moyen de faire autrement. Répondez-moi. Aidez-moi, Bartleby. S'il vous plaît. Et comment voulez-vous que je sache si vous ne répondez pas? Que savez-vous de votre douleur en moi?
Le déjeuner est prêt. Il vit donc sans déjeuner?
Oui. Il vit sans déjeuner.
Eh, il dort, n'est-ce pas?
Oui, il dort. Avec les rois et les conseillers.
Quelque temps après le décès du copiste, l'huissier fit une enquête afin de savoir le genre de vie que Bartleby avait pu mener avant d'entrer dans ses bureaux. Les sources de renseignements étant très réduites, il ne découvrit que peu de choses. Une vague rumeur, cependant, vint à ses oreilles et vaut peut-être la peine d'être mentionnée. Elle voulait que Bartleby ait travaillé dans un bureau de lettres au rebut et qu'il en ait été chassé par un brusque changement administratif. Lettres au rebut. Cela n'évoque-t-il pas l'image d'homme au rebut? Peut-on imaginer travail mieux fait pour détruire le tempérament d'un être déjà enclin à la mélancolie? car on brûle ces lettres chaque année par milliers. Parfois, un anneau s'échappe d'une enveloppe. Le doigt auquel il était destiné ne le portera jamais. Un peu d'argent que la charité envoyait en toute hâte, celui qu'il devait secourir ne mange plus, ne connaît plus la faim, ni le besoin. Message de vie, ces lettres courent vers les flammes.